Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. The webinar is entitled, Why Your Gestures Are More Important Than Your Words. And I think I can actually broaden that title to why your nonverbal communication are more important than your words. People think of gestures as just what you do with your hands. Two things I want to share with you. How do I take it to another level? But the gestures and what your body say about you is more than just the hands, includes the facial expressions, the eye contact, the way you walk, the way you stand. So I want to put to you, I want to challenge you, I want you to become more aware of your gestures and your nonverbal communication and what they say about you. For those of you who have not been on webinars before, please ask questions as we go. Take notes and apply the skills I'm going to share with you, the ideas. Apply them to your own situation. Do you need to change anything? Can you modify some of your gestures when you do your next meeting, your next sales pitch, or your next presentation? I think most valuable is when you apply the skills to your own particular situation. Something that is interesting, intriguing, but not relevant to you is of little value. But if it's something you can adjust or change or include, add in your own behavior, your own communication style, that will make you more effective. Then that's where I hope you'll get one or two things from the webinar. So why are gestures so important? Because they demonstrate your passion, and we'll go through these in more detail. They demonstrate your passion. They help show authenticity and genuineness. They make sure you're aligned and congruent with your message, with what you're saying. Helps to demonstrate walking the talk, that you do what you say. And the fifth one is it helps you display confidence. Come across as confident in your message and what you're saying. The converse of that is poor nonverbal communication can strongly show lack of confidence, fear, nervousness. And while nervousness is okay, an outward display may reduce your ability to be influential, your ability to sell an idea. Might be a great idea, really valuable, but people just feel that you're lacking confidence in what you're saying. And then if you're not confident in what you're saying, why should I be confident in what you're saying? All right, just some science, and I'm going to spend a bit of time on this because this is the basis of suggesting that these are 5 reasons, 5 ways your gestures and your nonverbal can be more important. So the first research comes from Malcolm Gladwell. Malcolm Gladwell is a social commentator, social researcher, has written lots of best-selling books, including The Outliers, Blink, Tipping Point. The one I'm going to refer to is What the Dog Saw. No, that's not the right one. It's What the Dog Saw. I'll just do some, should be able to do some text, I think. So What the Dog Saw is the book, and he speaks about a range of things. So it's lots of vignettes of research, and one of the things that he talks about is the job interview and how you have the job or you don't have the job within the first 15 seconds. And that first 15 seconds when you walk into a room, you get the smile, the handshake, your posture. You walk in, you take the seat, greet everybody, and you might say a few words. Good morning, my name's Peter Dew. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for giving me the opportunity for this particular job. Meet everyone, eye contact with everyone, move on. 15 seconds is not long. 15 seconds. What he did was he took that 1 hour job interview. So they did multiple job interviews, real job interviews, and they recorded the whole 1 hour interview. Now, part of the interview and part of many selection processes is personality, not your soft skills. So they use the job interview to also rate you on a scale around your loyalty, your authenticity, your honesty, your integrity, those soft skills that are not seen just in your CV or in your qualifications or in your experience. These are things we pick up from nonverbal communications, whether someone comes across as authentic and genuine, where they come across as someone with empathy, someone who listens. These are the soft skills, and very hard to assess these purely by job interview. But after the interview, each of the panel rated the applicants on a rating scale to work out how their interpersonal skills rated. So what Malcolm Gladwell did was he took these first 15 seconds off the video, so he spliced it off. So you got a 1 hour recording. So you've spent 1 hour interviewing me. You're now rating me on a 10 scale around my loyalty, my honesty, my integrity, my reliability, my empathy, my listening, just from that hour with me. And you rate me. 15 seconds of that video is spliced off the front. So I walk in the door, the handshake, the hello, the greeting I spoke about. He then shows that to a random group of 30 people. So you can imagine walking down the Hay Street Mall. Can I show you this 15 seconds of video, and I then want you to rate the person in that video on these 10 traits. And here's the scary thing. There was an 85% correlation. With what the panel got and with what random strangers rated you, just on that 15 seconds. So the conclusion from this research from Malcolm Gladwell is in reality that people form that judgment of your soft skills. And let's assume we've got 2 applicants. They've both got their degrees, they've both got their master's qualifications, they've both got 5 years of experience. So on paper, they all look very similar. They answer their questions well. Describe your negotiation skills. Gee, good negotiators. Describe your problem-solving skills. Wow, good problem solvers. And so we're coming down to the soft skills. And the panel's forming that from the non-verbals, your eye contact, your voice, your ability to be comfortable with silence, the handshake. Do you give a good handshake or do you give a wet fish? Do you crush the person and need to be on top, dominating? All of these things give that first impression. So my challenge, once again, are you aware of what your body says about you? Are you aware of what your gestures say about you when you walk into a room that you need to be influential with? You don't have the positional power. You are not the leader. You are not the boss. You're coming in, job interview, for example, an opportunity to pitch for business, to put a research proposal forward, funding proposal. You need some fundings for not-for-profit, and people are looking at these soft skills. Harvard, So what Harvard Business Review did, and this is where I got this title from, they looked at people pitching for business. So sales pitch. So I have the article here with me. And what they found was if you're pitching an idea and your verbal, non-verbal communication, your gestures are congruent with your pitch, the idea, they demonstrate the passion, you're more likely to get the job. You're more likely to get the gig. You're more likely to get the funding. If you have poor gestures, poor body language, then no matter how good your pitch is on paper, so your capability statements, your return on investment, you're less likely to get the gig. So someone with a poor bid, a poor pitch, but really confident, congruent gestures, the panel liked that person more so than the person with a really good pitch on paper, but let it down by that non-verbal, I guess, incompetency, the gestures that were just not aligned. So that's the second one, and that related to pitching. We're talking about sales pitches. And in your business, you may not be a salesperson. Well, you are a salesperson. I'm a salesperson today. Every time you speak or run a seminar or run a workshop, you're selling ideas, you're selling information, you're hoping that people will change. So Stanford University was the next one. So they had 2 rooms. And with 2 different groups of people. Now they had the same person walk into each room and deliver the same truthful message. So it was the truth. And person 1, not person 1, room 1, cohort 1, received the message where the non-verbal, the gestures did not align with what they were saying. Or put bad gestures. What is a bad gesture? Anything that's not congruent with what you're saying. The stance, the fig leaf, the passive, the shy, or you want to be inclusive and you do the hands on the hips, aggressive type stance. All of this is not congruent with what you're saying. So number 2 is the truth and congruent or good gestures. Now, both these groups had EEGs. So this is an electroencephalograph. So the cap on the head, which monitors brain waves. So group 2, the brain waves remain relatively stable. And at the end of the presentation, the audience, the cohort was checked in and they believed the person. They believed what he was saying. This one here, group 2, group 1, the EEG brain pattern went haywire, up and down. They were not believing the message. And afterwards, after the presentation was presented, they were asked to rate whether they believed, and they did not believe the person. So this one, they did not believe. This one, they believed. They were both telling the same message, the same words, the same truth. These are not different messages, and it's the same speaker, the same presenter in this group delivering, but with non-congruent gestures. Delivering, then goes to group 2, delivers exactly the same message, the same truth, but with really good gestures, and people believe him. So there's some room for thought. That's the science. So how can we be, why are gestures important? The first thing is your gestures demonstrate your passion for your message. They just show that that you believe your own message. The passion comes through. You're asking people to change, to follow you, to do something disruptive, to contact a member of parliament, to ring their local member because this is just not right. The level of health service for your community, the services for people with disabilities, whatever your area is, this is just not right. The passion needs to come through. It needs to come out of the pores of your skin that you are so aligned and so congruent. You see the violinists, you see the cello players, they close their eyes and their face is just telling the story as you listen to the music. Your gestures and your nonverbals can echo and amplify your passion. And one of the things we say in any presentation, in any public speaking, the first sale must be to yourself. Do you believe what you're saying? Your passion needs to show that. You're so aligned, you're so pleased to be able to present this idea. The second aspect of your gestures is it shows your authenticity, your honesty in relation to what you're saying. Someone who's being really honest, really authentic, their non-verbals will demonstrate that. Used car salesmen struggle to show authenticity. They're only doing their job. They're trying to match your needs, and you've walked into the car yard anyhow, but you know, sometimes that we still get, and my son's a recent example, we still get those lemons, those bad cars that seem to be a good deal and are sold with shining accolades, and then when you drive it out, the problems start to occur. And we worry about that honesty. And one of the leadership things that comes through the research, Kuzner and Posner, and they've done this survey for quite a while, that the number one thing that people look for in their leaders is the honesty, over and above other things like expertise, experience, listening skills. They want just honest communication. And if you can do that and amplify that through your nonverbal communication. And here's the thing to be aware of. Is your nonverbal communication, your gestures, unintentionally detracting from what you're saying? Really good to do an audit and understand your baseline. How do people perceive you when you walk into the room? Aggressive, passive, assertive and confident. And don't forget, you can always, whenever you do a presentation, get someone to video record your presentation. Then you can review it and get a good understanding of your baseline gestures, your baseline nonverbal communication. Scary when you review yourself on a video, but a really good exercise to do. Are there any questions? Okay, thanks. Thanks, Sarah. Sarah's asked, So what particular gestures help deliver honesty and authenticity, and what particular gestures demonstrate your passion? Really good question. I don't think it works like that. So I'm not saying that you have a gestural vocabulary. So these are 5 gestures I use to show passion. And these are 5 gestures I use to show that I'm being honest. It's just an inclusive thing. So it's a continuum. What I'm saying is these are 5 reasons. So I started with the science from Malcolm Gladwell, Harvard, Stanford University, that just demonstrate that your non-verbals, your gestures are really important. What I'm suggesting is these are 5 reasons why your gestures are more important than your words. They do demonstrate your honesty. I guess, to be specific, someone who's not honest, their eye contact may be averted. There may be a little bit more fidgeting because they know they're not telling you the truth. But people that practice dishonesty for a living are very good at masking that. I guess your passion, now I would not jump up and down and pound my fists back and forth, but your passion, you generally need to light up. So there's no list of gestures. This gesture means you're passionate. This gesture means you're honest. This gesture means you're dishonest. It's just a general understanding of your entire body language and what your baseline is saying, and some things you could do to increase your likability from the audience's perspective by just softening, enhancing, reducing particular gestures. There is, I guess, a whole science of nonverbal communication and also neuro-linguistic programming, and they might go a little bit deeper, and there are those people that will look at someone and they're sort of nonverbal lie detectors, and they will look at some video that a police shows them and say, yeah, that person's lying. This is more for presentation, public speaking, helping you get your message across, helping you not white hand or detract your message as a result of poor gestures and poor nonverbal communication. So portray congruence and alignment with your message. So this is a little bit about actions, walk the talk. And I think that's the next point. But your congruence and your alignment. I saw someone go fishing, talk about their fishing. So we had to speak about our hobbies, and they caught the biggest fish they'd ever caught in their life. Now, to me, this is quite a small fish. If I, without exaggerating, if I caught a big fish, I would want it, some sort of gestures that illustrate that something's big. So your gestures that are not congruent and not aligned with your message may undermine what you're saying. The other example is when someone says, I'm really pleased to be here, and their body language is a fig leaf, legs crossed, and even on the stage they walk away from you, so they walk backwards. So I'm really pleased to be here today. We're going to have a great time as I diminish myself from you. Sends the wrong message. So generally, I'm really pleased to be here today, and I'm going to share some of my passion. You would walk forward on the stage, move towards the audience to show that passion, that congruency that you really are pleased to be here. And it helps you walk the talk. So you not only say the 3 points, the 5 points, the 4 pillars of success, but you can see it in your nonverbals and in your body language. I can even take this further in terms of nonverbal. And just 2 examples, the time management trainer who starts 5 minutes late, who goes 10 minutes past finishing time, that is nonverbal. and that will diminish your message about time management. The financial planner who will talk to you about don't buy depreciating assets. A car is a depreciating asset, and drives a Mercedes-Benz just to show how successful they are. And we know the Mercedes-Benz, starts at $70,000 and is depreciating very quickly. And they're advising you to not buy assets that depreciate. You should buy shares and a property. So that nonverbal, that behavior outside of the spoken word is not congruent with what you're saying. And it helps display your confidence and credibility in your message. So the metaphor I use for that is really the swan, the black swan that swims across the river. Above the water, we see a very elegant, majestic, magnificent beast, being the black swan, so graceful. Under the water, the legs are churning at 100 miles an hour, moving the water along. On top, looks really confident. So you can use confident nonverbal communication, the mirror and match the handshake, the way you stand, the way you make eye contact, to give people, to let them know you're confident. Inside, your guts may be in knots, the butterflies may be going haywire. You may be less than confident, but so important to show your confidence when you walk on stage, when you walk into a negotiation. And many of you will have heard me talk about TED Talks and Amy Cuddy. And Amy talks about your body language determines who you are. And her key message is fake it till you make it. So she's done that famous TED Talk, fake it till you make it. Your body language determines who you are. And this is the faking it above the water. It doesn't mean you're telling lies or not being authentic. You're walking, acting, showing credibility, showing confidence. So, what is your nonverbal communication saying about you? What's your body language saying about you? It's really important. It demonstrates your passion for your message. It can show your authenticity, your genuineness. It helps to portray congruence. So I'm also saying this, but I also walk the talk. And helps you display the confidence. Got some workshops coming up around Perth, then off to Darwin in October, and webinars for those of you who like webinars. Consistency, and we touched on this briefly. Consistency builds trust. Inconsistency breeds distrust. How can you as a speaker be consistent in terms of your message? And then we're going to talk about the power of telling your story. And this is the business story. This is not bedtime stories. Storytelling is such a really powerful skill. If you have any further questions, you know how to reach me. And it's always a pleasure to share some information. Today was around getting a clear understanding of what's your baseline for your gestures, for your nonverbals. How are you perceived by your audience? You may think you look confident, you may think you look nervous. But if the audience says you're coming across really calm and confident, then you continue with that same body language. If the audience says you're looking aggressive and conceited, then you need to soften your nonverbals. So your gestures demonstrate your passion for your message. They show your authenticity. They help you portray congruence with message, that is, walk the talk, and they help you to display your confidence, even if you're a little bit nervous speaking in front of 100 people. Bye for now.